I was introduced to this project by our creative director, Bill G. He described the pure magic of how this project could bring communities together.
Teatro Container, a really fascinating collective. They're based in this city, Valparaiso, in Chile, where they run their own festival, and Cocina Pública is just one of the projects that they tour.
The public kitchen, La Cocina Pública, started in 2014. We ask people and neighborhood to work with us, to participate, to feel that they can be part of the show, be part of the feast. We want to share food, we want to share memories, we want to share history of the neighbor, history of the city.
Because theater is emotion, theater is feelings, and I think now the people have the feelings really inside. They are not sharing all the time what happened, what they feel.
First I heard was Rachel. He was at the carnival, I met her, and they had a stall up there and got talking to him, and she sort of said about this container, etc., and what they was going to do.
Spent quite a few weeks introducing myself to the people at the Frank Moran Centre and the wider West Bletchley community.
It was in there and I thought, what's that, you know, Chilean? You know, you're thinking that's a long way to come, you know.
Finding that space opposite the Frank Moran Centre at the base of Mellish Court, I don't think there could be a better community setting for the work of Teatro Container, and the company certainly felt that. I remember when they arrived on their pre-visit, they were really happy with the context and the place that we'd found for them. And what they've got going for them, of course, is that there's this big giant shipping container that arrives from sort of nowhere overnight.
Just like, oh my God, it's massive, I don't think it was this big. It was quite a shock just to see it.
And very beautiful, actually, the kitchen itself.
A shipping container who arrived by the sea, and he's like on a new beach here on West Bletchley.
When we are in other cities, we can feel again the first emotion, you know, the first feelings of our activity.
One of the things that we wanted to do with this festival in particular was make sure that we were actually dipping outside of the city centre and reaching into new communities, and this seemed like the perfect project to do that.
We were working with Community Fridge, and there was a strong development of the idea that a new community fridge would happen in West Bletchley. And we were also working very closely with Milton Keynes Council Arts, who provided a lot of the funding for this project, and they thought it was a very good idea for us to look to West Bletchley. So we then had meetings with the West Bletchley Council, and the partnership grew very quickly.
The Chileans were welcoming to their own space, even though that they'd supplanted themselves in somebody else's space. And it's like they created a whole sort of community within that tiny little area.
I was bringing out trash from the flat, and I'm looking at the container. I'm like, what's this all about? The Chilean lady, she called me and she said, oh, come over. And I said, oh, all right. I was in my shorts, you know, in my PJs, to be honest. I started making an apron. For the first time, I've never done any sewing in my whole life. I stayed there for a week with them.
My grandson come, he's 12, my great-grandson, and they taught him how to make an apron, how to make a bag. He thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was very much about the work that happened between the Monday and the weekend that really sort of rooted the company, the idea of the project within that community.
So with this project, when we talk about food, we can get inside the people, the culture of the people, and they feel comfortable.
Their food that they were cooking was absolutely amazing. We share recipes and then we all want to sit together and just be a community and show that we can actually be a community and not just each individual person.
Talking about food, we can talk about society, love, war. For example, here in England, when we ask how was your child food, and so many people, many old people say, no, we were in war. Okay, it was a war here. Can you tell me about that? But if you ask first, what happened in the war? They don't gonna talk. They don't want to talk. But if you talk about food, maybe you can think, oh yes, my mother, when we was so poor, she cooked bread pudding with all the old bread, and we loved that, and it was a really happy moment. So even in war, with food, you have good memories.
Chile have a story, a difficult story. This dictatorship didn't want to see the inhabitants together in the street. You couldn't walk after 10 p.m. In your own street. I think each one of us got this kind of memory, you know? Like a big table in the street, all the neighborhood, around the table, sharing. To be in the public space, to make that, and to show to the public that we are all together. The kitchen public for me is that. It's the most important thing for me.
Container is a nomad object. It's always moving, like humans. So it's impossible to work with containers and don't think about migration. We are not trying to tell a story. It's not a story to understand, but we work with a lot of image. Hands with passports, hands with vegetables. So people make their own story. It's lovely when at the end of the show people come and say, oh, it was a love story. He's alone because he lost his wife. We never think about that, but it's real. So it's really strong, the image, I think, because it's a lost man, knock the door. How many times that is happening now? They open the door, they invite us, 200 people, to share a feast. And then we work together. We work with recipes also, with memories. We have an open microphone, so the people can express. And at the end of the show, we close the container again, and for remember the people, this is fiction, you know. We are players.
Well, for weeks before, we'd had really, really hot weather, sun shining every single day, and then it broke on the Saturday.
We had to either abandon or recite the show into the Frank Moran Community Centre.
We couldn't get the whole canopy out because it was too windy.
It lashed with rain.
That did not dampen the positive spirit of the English people.
Within a half an hour, it was rigged up in here.
I think that was one of the most special moments I've been involved in, and the fact that all the members of the community that were there, they literally did carry knives, forks, tables, everything back into the Frank Moran.
Frank Moran Centre had been set up like a Christmas dinner where you've got extra guests arriving.
And we fed everybody in there. That was brilliant.
And I think we had roughly about 150 people in here. It was absolutely mayhem, but we managed to do it.
For me, it was the point which really showed exactly why they were there and what they were there to do, which was to bring people together.
Push it, we're crowded, but we all had a laugh And they done some singing and some dancing.
I think that was a spirit that the company really want to create with their work, because it's very much about trying to bring people in the community together.
But then the following day, on the Sunday, it went all the way through successfully.
I think what shone through in the final feasts was a real sense of community and a sense that people had enjoyed taking part in it, had become owners of the project, and that real sense of pride and community spirit, that they were doing something utterly extraordinary and unexpected on their doorstep.
We'd never experienced that before, so it was quite an eye-opener.
I think everybody enjoyed it more than they thought they would.
If it was doing one tomorrow, I'll be here straight away.
There was just this lovely energy that came from the performers and also from the local participants that then created this very sort of interesting, festive atmosphere.
Maybe it will be difficult, but at the end of the show we close the door because we have to go. The boat is going. We have to sail. So the neighbors stay here with their apron, and the logo Cocina Pública stays in the neighborhood. And this connection between neighbors from all over the world is one of the beautiful things of the Cocina Pública.
Undoubtedly, the legacy is very much about the people. It's how you start those conversations that then lead to friendships, that then lead to community action. And so many of the participants have said that they want to do more of this type of work. They're actively looking for how they can engage with more people in the future, and it's that type of opportunity that the festival gives to inspire people to do things that they might not have thought of before as previously possible.
Because we missed them when they went, you know, oh, they're not here now, you know, they've gone. And everybody was talking about them.
The Chilean people, to me, we ended up gelling like family.
They're amazing people. I still keep in touch with them now.
So maybe if you like this kind of moments, you can do again with your neighbors without us, because we have to live.